Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. This is live stream 922. If you're not overly familiar with the Dispatch, let me point out, super casual around here. We're just hanging out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, while also normally taking a first look at a game. And that's what we'll be doing tonight. We're going to be diving on in for a first look at Coriolis, Wake of the Icons, which is the finale in the Mercy of the Icons adventure campaign. So this is from Free League Publishing. We're going to be jumping on into this in just a bit. So, should mention, if you are watching live, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So, hang out, kick back, relax. It's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we get into Wake of the Icons. So if you're a subscriber, well, you have something that you can occupy your time with. But otherwise, just, relax. It's Tuesday nights. We have some fun around here. Like I said, super casual. Anyway, but if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, well, there are timestamps, so you can jump right on past tabletop gaming news if you'd like, if you're impatient, if you just got to get to that first look. I understand, I get it. But I got a lot of cool news tonight. In fact, a big role-playing game news piece. Going to talk about that. But if you're not into that, I don't know. Of course, if you're not in role-playing games, why would you be watching this episode where we're actually looking at a role-playing game adventure? Don't know. Maybe you just love the news. Then why would you skip the news? I'm confused now. Anyway, when you're not watching videos, of course, on the channel here, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will never find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, remember I mentioned if you're a subscriber watching live, you got something to occupy your time. That's right, because there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber for at least 48 hours in order to take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Hey, maybe there's something about Wake of the Icons you want a closer look at. Let me know. So first out the gate tonight is the Motor City Madman. That's right. The Madman is with us. He is one of our chat moderators, as is Flaming Huron, who is also with us, as is Kathy Evans, David B., and Kevin R. Smith. So welcome aboard, everybody. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. I'll be the first to point out I got nothing done. Nothing done. I'll talk about that after I'm finished with the news. It's always something. Always something. It's okay. I actually had something that really occupied my time. I'll talk about that too. All right, so let's jump on into the news because next month is going to see the release of what looks to me to be a cute, family-friendly storytelling game. And it is Adorablins. Here's the latest from Letiman Games. Adorablins is a super cute and easy to learn storytelling game where you play as little goblin-like creatures going on adventures in an endless variety of places. Everything you need to play is in a portable mint tin box. That's right. Thought I had one laying around. I was going to grab it and go like so. Well, I don't know. I think this one's a little smaller. I think we're probably talking like a normal Altoid size box. And of course, all that goodness fits right in your pocket. Adorablins is inspired by the Powered by the Apocalypse system used by tabletop role-playing games like Apocalypse World, Monster Hearts, and Avatar Legends. The game works like a conversation where all you do is together tell a story. You'll choose a character to play as by picking an Adorablin card, then choose the adorable companion who will accompany you on your adventure through a magical portal. As players try to overcome challenges or do something risky, the narrator will call for a dice roll. The player decides what their Adorablin is trying to do and describes the action, then chooses a skill that best fits that action. Then they roll their dice to see how it goes. Sessions tend to last between 30 minutes and up and can easily be made to fit whatever time you have to fill. Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. Grab Adorablins and play a quick game. Once again, Adorablins fits in a mint tin. It is for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up. Plays in 30 minutes or more. It's going to carry an MSRP of $14 when it arrives next month. Could be fun for the kids, for the smaller kids. So one thing I thought was kind of interesting is Letiman Games is referring to this as a storytelling game as opposed to calling it a role-playing game. But it's a role-playing game. It's powered by the apocalypse or inspired by it. I thought that was kind of weird. But then again, because it is aimed at younger kids, maybe that's why they're saying it's a storytelling game as opposed to saying, oh, it's an RPG, right? Like a family RPG. Kind of curious, but I got to admit, I think the artwork is pretty cute. There is an adventure that we'll be releasing at the same time as well. I think it's on the farm. So it's obviously enough the Adorablins are visiting a farm. There we go. Alrighty then, Vaughn Moore and J.P. Falconer, as well as Roger Prudhomme, are hanging with the gang. JPF says, geez, haven't been here in a bit. Adorablin certainly isn't advanced Third Reich. No, it certainly isn't. And as far as I understand, there isn't a whole lot of advanced Third Reich news out there. I don't know. Wasn't it Multiman Publishing? I think they're still the arbiters of advanced third. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Advanced Squad Leader. I don't think anybody produces Advanced Third Reich anymore. It's too bad. It was a pretty decent game. Moving right along, now available from Red Raven Games, is the second edition of The Ancient World. Here's what I know. In an ancient world forgotten by time, enormous titans terrorize the land. 5 tribes have been fleeing from the titans for centuries, But things are about to change. Growing city-states pledge to end the reign of terror, determined to take on the Titans and make the world a safer place for all. Each city-state competes to attract the tribes, eager for the strength of the combined peoples who are now leaving behind old traditions with the hope that the Titans can be defeated once and for all. In the ancient world, players compete to grow the largest and most influential city-state by managing citizens, treasury, and military, and by defeating Titans. Players take turns sending citizens to take special actions or using military cards to attack Titans. One of the actions a citizen can perform is to build empire cards, which give more citizens money and abilities. A city-state's influence in the world is measured by sets of tribe banners that it owns. Each empire card has one or more tribe banners, and the tribe banners can also be gained by defeating Titans. Players gain victory points for sets of tribe banners, and after 6 rounds, player with the most victory points from sets of tribe banners is the winner, of course. This second edition includes new and updated artwork on almost every card and token, expanded gameplay, Titans now attack you. There's larger, revised player boards now with special abilities, as well as a new resource, Ambrosia, and revised district and empire cards. The Ancient World is for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 90 minutes, does carry an MSRP of $59.99. I remember when this originally came out, it kind of caught my eye. If I remember correctly, I believe this is designed by Ryan Lucat, and I remember the premise of it was pretty cool. And I think a lot of people were kind of like, how come the Titans don't attack you? It's like, you're fleeing from the Titans, but they don't attack you. Well, I guess that will change in this new edition. Artwork looks pretty cool as well. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, and we will start off with a big news piece, because earlier today, Kobold Press launched their Kickstarter to bring a new fantasy role-playing game to the masses. Here's the scoop on Tales of the Valiant. Tales of the Valiant is the most established new game you'll ever play. We've already committed to creating our own game when the 5th edition system reference document 5.1 was released into the Creative Commons. After that, it was clear we could build on the foundation that so many people already know and love. While its roots are familiar, the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game brings new realms of adventure to the table. Explore the new Mechanist class, the Kobold and Bearfolk character lineages, and hundreds of new options in the form of talents, spells, and monsters. Kobold Press is refitting 5th edition to use more straightforward language, reduce complexity, and organize information in a user-friendly way. This presentation style uses examples and standout advice to help onboard new players. Here are the big picture streamlining goals that Kobold Press is working toward. Making the rules easier to read, understand, and use. Reduce Game Master burden with encounter building tools, exploration encounter tools, social encounter tools, and more. Rebalancing some existing elements such as feats, which are going to be known as talents and subclasses, and provide opportunities for player characters to make meaningful choices throughout every level of play. Plus, making spellcasting cooler and keeping combat interesting for martial characters. There is a short Kickstarter video, and let's take a peek. How in the world did that just happen? It's like, wait a second. I have the Kobold Press video set up, and it starts playing some old video. All right, hold on. I'm going to have to fix this. Hey, what can I tell you? It's a live show. So you're going to see that intro again until I get it switched over.
All legends have a beginning. A call that must be answered. A tale that must be told. But true heroes are forged from bold beginnings. Those who yearn for adventure must be prepared for the danger that lies ahead. The trials will be many, the likes of which will test limits.
Here they come.
Focus on the troll.
It's a bullet! Prepare for battle!
But remember that your truest weapon isn't swords or sorcery, but your friends, your allies, your party.
I'm not doing so great.
I've got you.
I'll distract it.
Trust in each other, and you shall surely prevail. For the greatest of tales are those that you write together.
Be brave, my friend.
Answer the call of the Valiant. Raise your banner, and take your place among legends. Back the Kickstarter today and become one of the Valiant.
The project roared past its funding goal within moments. And I believe it is approaching $500,000 last I took a peek, which was about an hour ago. It was at about $450,000. Nice. So you can reserve physical copies of both the core rules, the player book, I believe it's considered a player book, as well as the monsters books. So both those together for a $99 pledge, or you'll be able to grab them in PDF for $48. There are a variety of virtual tabletops which are being supported as well. This project will run through June 23rd, and expected delivery on the physical books is slated for next April, with the alpha PDFs to be available this summer. Yes, Black Flag no more. Tales of the Valiant. So I do want to point out that I tried to interview Wolfgang Bauer over at Kobold Press because I'm very interested in this. And I love Kobold Press. Their stuff is always really cool. So, had it all set up on Skype, got together, and unfortunately, his internet connection was awful. So it wasn't even just choppy. It was where a minute would go and it would be like he says something, like he's answering a question, and it's like, I was like, this is driving me insane. We didn't even really get started. In fact, we even turned the video off to free up some pipeline there, some bandwidth, and still, even just audio, it was still kind of choppy. But I did ask him some questions about this Kickstarter, and I will tell you about those answers that I got once we finish up the news. So I want to just get through the news here, and then I will kind of tackle this and some other things before we jump into that look at Wake of the Icons. So I'm pretty excited. This looks pretty cool. And we did discuss Wastes of Chaos, which is going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, a Gen Con release. So I will probably have an opportunity to check that out at Gen Con. Very nice. Very nice. Moving right along. Currently, you can score big savings on PDFs of the classic Call of Cthulhu zine, The Unspeakable Oath, and more at Bundle of Holding. I've got the deets on the deal. Investigator. This Arc Dream Mythos bundle presents Cthulhu Mythos tabletop role-playing supplements and magazines from Arc Dream Publishing. Best known for its Delta Green role-playing game line, Arc Dream has also published the extraordinary Dreamlands campaign, The Sense of the Sleight of Hand Man, and many issues of The Unspeakable Oath, a digest of arcane lore supporting Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu and other Mythos role-playing games. Each issue of The Oath presents arcane artifacts, mysterious manuscripts, tales of terror, messages in a bottle, unconventional firearms, and full-length scenarios. Contributors include some of the hobby's best and most knowledgeable Lovecraftian gaming writers. For just $12.95, you'll get all 6 titles in the Unspeakable Collection, which has a retail value of $64, as DRM-free PDFs, including the 294-page Call of Cthulhu Dreamlands campaign, The Sense of the Sleight of Hand Man, the Old Ones Rising compilation that gathers The Unspeakable Oath issues 18 through 21, and 4 more individual Oath issues. Issue 22, 23, 24, and you guessed it, 25. These savings will run through June 5th. So I've got to say, I used to pick up The Unspeakable Oath when it was published by, I think it was Pagan Press. And I gotta say, Pagan Press put out some awesome Call of Cthulhu stuff. I remember they did a campaign. I think it was called Mortal Coils. And then I know they had another book that was more like standalone adventures. They didn't tie together. But they were awesome adventures. And they really tied into history really well. In fact, I still remember there was one adventure where player characters would meet a pseudo Walt Disney. It was really bizarre and twisted. Yes. Gotta be honest though, I don't recall checking out issues of The Unspeakable Oath when Arc Dream Publishing was publishing it. Right? So, I don't know. So, I think maybe they took over like issue 18 and on. Now, there hasn't been a new issue of The Unspeakable Oath, gosh, I think in about 5 years. So, it's not really an active magazine anymore, but still, loads of great Call of Cthulhu content for a song. $12.95 through June 5th. On to the last news piece. Now available in PDF for Traveler is Boo and Embla's Guide to Starports of the Marshes. Here's the skinny from Mongoose Publishing. Boo and Embla's Guide to Starports of the Marshes is a PDF-only release. Physical versions were exclusive to the backers of the Journal of the... What is JTS? JTAS? Journal of the Travelers Something Society. Forget what it is. Anyway, it was backers of the JTAS 2 Kickstarter, covering 12 starports found in these Spinward Marshes, a sector that has been the setting for many, many campaigns over the decades. Follow the adventures of Boo and Embla, Druin and Huasei throughout the marshes and join them on their exploits as they try to stay ahead of pursuing authorities. These two friends visit a variety of starports, cities, and underworld haunts, meeting no small amount of danger along the way. Their distinct personalities clashing and melding as they pass through the sector. Boo and Embla's Guide to Starports of the Marshes include maps, patrons, adventures, and new rules that document their experiences, allowing your own travelers to follow in their footsteps while exploring these iconic locations. The 128-page PDF of Traveler, Boo and Embla's Guide to Starports of the Marshes, say that 5 times fast, is available over at DriveThruRPG for $14.99. Sweet. I always like to see new Traveler stuff out there. Although somebody had shared a comment about how expensive the Mongoose Publishing books are and PDFs are. And that's going to kind of be the topic of my random musings tonight. We'll tackle it pretty quickly. So, once again, Traveler Boo and Embla's Guide to Starports of the Marshes, featuring a dozen starports, which I'm kind of curious if these are starports that have been featured in previous adventures, kind of fleshed out more. I don't know. Kind of curious. Anyway, it's available at DriveThruRPG for $14.99. Sweet. So there you have it. Tabletop gaming news of the night. Of course, I just was finishing up with the news piece about the Traveler PDF over at DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Should mention, currently, there are 2 publishers advertising Kickstarters on the Gaming Gang. So there is no top banner for DriveThruRPG. Scroll down the page, you will see the kind of like skyscraper is what they tend to call them, banner. You can click on that. Or if you're checking out a news piece or video or a page on thegaminggang.com, you'll also notice it along the left side as well. So, also want to mention, if you like this video, as Flaming Heron has already pointed out, give it a thumbs up. But if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, there are a lot of people out there who use our One Bookshelf banners and or visit paypal.me. So thank you, everybody. It is much appreciated. It really is. It really, really is. Because things are very tight right now. So I'll probably have another game sale in June to try to help finance Comic-Con and Gen Con. See what happens. We will see what happens with that. I don't know. All right, so a few things I want to talk about before we jump on into the first look at Coriolis, Wake of the Icons. First of all, as I mentioned, got nothing done this past weekend. Was planning on shooting some videos, getting some stuff done, reading. And Thursday night, after I did the show, I got a call from my brother asking if I would go over to their house and spend the weekend watching all of their pets because they were going up to a wedding. The whole family was going out of town to go to a wedding. So that's what I did. Of course, can't shoot video. We don't have the Duct Tape Studio 2 over at my brother's. So that's what I ended up doing. What can I tell you? But I picked up Age of Wonders 4 because I had my laptop with, and I played the hell out of that over the weekend. So Flaming Red says, hopefully you enjoyed that. Yeah, I don't mind watching the pets. There's 2 dogs, 2 cats, bird, turtle, lizards. So yeah, plenty of feeding. Anyway, so that was all right. It was just I was planning on getting my review of Nameless Horrors out there. There's another Call of Cthulhu video I was going to shoot. Nothing. None of it. So, oh well. So Flaming Red says, so just a few pets. Yes, just a few pets. Okay, so anyway, so I was just doing a news story about a new Traveler PDF, which amazingly was pretty affordable. 128 pages, $14.99. That is very Mongoose Publishing like as far as PDFs go. So somebody had commented on my Why You Should Play Traveler 2nd Edition, or Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. And their comment was, along the lines of these books are exceptionally expensive. And yes, it is something that we've rehashed umpteen times. It's not something that I really get into anymore because it's kind of a given. Just mention it, move on. So, but think about it. Think about role-playing games. And yes, I did see the comment Kevin floated out there about Wizards of the Coast announcing that new Dungeons and Dragons books will be more expensive, although the price of them has remained kind of the same for a bit, but they have slashed the page counts, which is what we're seeing with a lot of publishers out there. Just like Paizo has cut down on the number of pages for their Adventure Path chapters. Pathfinder Adventure Path chapters used to run usually a little more than 100 pages, sometimes 102. Now they're down to like 94, 92, things like that. But if you think about it, if you get your hands on a good role-playing game or a good role-playing game adventure, which, think about it, the reviews I do, where the hell did that come from? Reserves. The reserves I do. I know where it came out of. My teleprompter is sitting there with reserve a copy of Tales of the Valiant. That's where it came from. I just saw that and said that. Anyway, I was going to say, the reviews I do for role-playing game releases tend to help people out so they can make informed buying decisions. And of course, if the prices are going up, it's even more important. But if you think about it, and I've mentioned this before, family of 4 goes to the movies in the United States, and you're not going like for the matinee or whatever, you are probably paying with soda, popcorn, maybe a candy that's shared between a couple of people. You're looking at about easily $20, maybe $25 per person. So a family of four, $80 to $100 for you to go see one movie. And you better keep your fingers crossed that that movie's worth that money. Because it's, you pay and it's gone. Look at a board game, look at a role-playing game. Especially role-playing games, think of it that way. Purchase a role-playing game, let's say the core book is $50. And maybe you're lucky and all you need to run the game are going to be included in this core rulebook. That $50, that's going to provide you with a lot of entertainment for quite some time. Gotta remember, you don't have to buy everything that comes out. You don't have to be invested in the cult of the new in order to get value from your role-playing games. So Kevin says their comment was at least as much about the timing as the actual increase. Yeah, I know, it was weird. That is weird that they mentioned that today. They also announced a new book. So there is that. I already had today's news done and good to go when that broke. So I will probably have a news piece about that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, the other thing I was going to say is, so I tried to interview Wolfgang Bauer, and Wolfgang Bauer is always super nice. He's a really good interview. But unfortunately, we were having this internet issue, and I wanted to ask him some questions about Tales from the, I keep wanting to call it Tales from the Valiant, not Tales of the Valiant. So I was able to ask him a few questions about it. So the first thing I was curious about is, how different are we going to be seeing this from the SRD? And essentially, they're going to use the core mechanics of the 5.1 SRD because it is now Creative Commons. And they are adding some additional complexity to some bits, but trying to make the rules far easier to understand. Now, I never thought 5e D&D is difficult to figure out, but and again, I'm also somebody who had to figure out Avalon Hill rules. So, case point 104.7.9.3. All right, so zones of control, huh? So he said, yes, it is going to be pretty similar, just core mechanically, to 5e D&D. And I completely understood that because you figure the past few years, that is what Kobold Press is focused on, is 5e D&D. So they've got all this content that they still sell. Would they just go, forget it, the hell with that? So, and once again, they are looking at using the SRD because many, many people are very familiar with those mechanics and they love those mechanics. So there is that. I also asked, is the focus going to be on converting previously published content to Tales of the Valiant, or is the focus going to be on new adventures? And Wolfgang told me that the focus will be on new adventures. And that makes sense. And of course, he had mentioned that they are working on converting some things, but they're kind of discussing what they want to convert. I would assume, they're big releases like Empire of the Ghouls, some of the more recent Tales from the Shadows, things like that. Will get some conversion, but I can see that not being the huge focus, simply because you're not going to see that much incompatibility. So I guess really what Kobold is looking to do is add a lot more options to the player characters. So I think they're aiming for something with a bit more like, I would say, almost like a Pathfinder second edition feel. Because I tell people all the time, Pathfinder and Starfighter, you want options for your player characters, those are the games to look at. They certainly are. So I know that is something. And once again, they're trying to make combat a little more exciting and to keep players of martial characters invested. I think, I'm not positive, but I think they are trying to move towards a less Vancian magic system. So didn't get to talk to him too long because, once again, as I mentioned, it just kept breaking up. And I would ask a question, and then he'd start to answer, and it would just go drag out where I'd sit and wait, no joke, a minute, and it would just be like, whoa. I'd be like, But Tales of the Valiant sounds very, very cool. And, something else I should mention, because I was asking, so when are you expecting to see this? And he said physical books, April is what they're shooting for. But if you back the Kickstarter, that sometime this summer, they will have the alpha ready to share with backers. And they're planning on sharing a bunch of stuff with the backers. So it's almost going to be like you're involved in a play test where you're getting updated content. It's not where it's like, oh, well, we're going to roll out the beta PDF, and then in April of next year, we're going to give you the final PDF. Now, there's going to be a lot of updates along the way, and I thought that was pretty interesting as well. So I got to be honest, I'm very curious about it. And of course, I was going to talk about some other releases from Kobold Press. I was able to ask when we're going to see Waste of Chaos. And I guess Wastes of Chaos is coming out in July, so it's expected to be a Gen Con release. Very cool, because as I pointed out before, I really like the Midgard setting quite a lot. In fact, I mentioned that on a week ago Monday, I had started running a role-playing game for my nephew and his friends, and supposedly Elliot's going to join in June. But the game plan is actually to segue, once they have an understanding of the game, into Empire of the Ghouls from Kobold Press, using Castles and Crusades. So that's kind of interesting. So I had mentioned that to Wolfgang, and he's like, oh, we love Castles and Crusades. He's like, oh, the gang over at Troll Lord, they're so nice, they're cool. And I was like, oh yeah, they're pretty sweet. All right. So anyway, so that is what was cooking, and I did want to give you a little more inside dope about the Tales of the Valiant Kickstarter. Sweet. All right. So we're going to be taking a first look at Coriolis, Wake of the Icons, in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Boy, this Wilkins coffee's good.
Good for what?
Oh, good for smart Alecks, wise guys, and nice people, too.
Hello, Mother.
La la la.
Hello, Father.
La la la.
Here's a game called
La la la.
Camp Granada.
La la la. All our children.
La la la.
Love it madly.
La la la. Manufactured by my uncle Milton Bradley. La la la. It's a real good game, too. It's all about this real rotten camp, Camp Granada. And the object of the game is to get home from camp any way you can. Try to escape. And you get this rotten board and all these rotten cards, and everybody gets a rotten bunkhouse. And then there's this rotten camp bus, and it can bust, you go, see, the motor falls out right in the middle, and you get these icky animals. They're disgusting. Yeah, that's a frog. And here's a crazy lizard or something like that. Hello, Mother.
La la la.
Hello, Father.
La la la.
Get this game called
La la la.
Camp Granada.
La la la.
It's a game that
La la la.
should be gotten.
La la la.
Milton Bradley's game about a camp that's rotten. Blah!
And now, on with the show.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Father. Here I am at Camp Granada. I know none of you saw that coming. Kathy Evans says, I didn't know there was a game to go with the song. Yep. There were actually, I think, 3 or 4 versions of that song that, if I remember right, I think his name is Alan Shepard, not the astronaut. But I know he did the song because I remember, I think we had the 45 of it when I was a little kid. Or no, maybe I think it was on an LP that had a collection of like silly songs. Because I was not born in 64 or 5, I was 67. But I remember we had that on an album, and I think he did a version for the Tonight Show. And he did another version somewhere along the lines. Yes. So Kevin says he has a couple of odd moments. I think this was the case where they just used to take where the kids got it right. Probably. All right, one last thing I did want to mention before we jump on into the first look is that the channel recently passed 10.8K subs. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very kindly. Appreciate you subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, what's holding you back? Doesn't cost you anything. Click on something. That's it. That's all it takes. Click on a little thing. Big deal. All right, so tonight I am going to take a first look and page through Coriolis, Wake of the Icons from Free League Publishing. It's written by Ricard. All right, let me take a look. Antroya? I think it's Antroya. Artworks provided by Martin Grip and Gustav Ekelund. This 204-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $39.99, or you'll probably be able to grab the PDF for $19.99 when they arrive on May 31st. That's right. This is not out yet, so we're going to be taking a peek. Let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Wake of the Icons. So do want to point out the fine folks over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But keep in mind, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And these days, it's very important that you know that. This is also an adventure. So this is the finale of a 3-part campaign. The campaign is known as Mercy of the Icons for Coriolis. If you're not familiar with Coriolis, it's a very unique setting. It's a science fiction setting. And I know the authors themselves refer to it as Arabian Nights in space, and the kind of design style is very kind of Middle Eastern. And I would say it's got a little bit of a Fading Suns vibe with more of a classic science fiction sort of. It's not so heavy into like political intrigue, because Fading Suns is more of a Dune sort of science fiction role-playing game with of course a dying universe, where this is not. And it takes place in the Third Horizon, which is kind of like the Third Empire. It's actually been a while since we took a look at the previous adventure. But yeah, Coriolis is pretty interesting, pretty unique. And Disavowed 92 has popped into chat. Good to see you. I think Disavowed popped in while we were in our brief intermission. Nightmares and premonitions wake you in a cold sweat, panic tightening your chest. It began with rolling fields and an invitation, an outstretched hand. Whose hand? Then a starry sky and the emptiness of space. You couldn't breathe, your heart racing as you recognized the planet, the emerald, Koa, waiting for you. Glittering wings in the darkness surrounding you. Hundreds of butterflies, followed by enormous shell-covered titans. A locust swarm coming to devour the Third Horizon. In dreams and visions, something calls out into the dark space of the Third Horizon. A new presence or something old. It may hold the answer for the future about a prophecy, the chosen, and the coming Horizon Wars. The Wake of the Icons is the third and final part of Mercy of the Icons, the epic and richly illustrated campaign for Coriolis, the Third Horizon. And then it says what the book contains. And we're going to find out by taking a peek inside anyway. So we have our galaxy map and our credits. So this is going to break down into an introduction, and then it appears we've got a series of 3 acts. A song for Kua. You know me, I mispronounce fictional people and places. Then we have the 10th icon, and then we have the Horizon Wars. So previously in this campaign, the player characters have found themselves kind of rising through the ranks of the Third Horizon. And I think in this book, they actually will be like the commanders during this Horizon War. So we will find out. So here we have the third horizon. Kuon core space is still a neutral zone despite the events and the finale of the last Cyclig. Akbar, Rikiv, Fataman's Corsairs and the remaining Legion fleets, now contracted by the independent space station Yakum. Yeah, once again, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Have so far managed to keep the peace. Laws barring any factionary military vessels from the system without clearance from the Horizon Council are strictly enforced. But lately, an increasing number of merchant freighters, nomad clan ships, and smaller colonization vessels have started seeking entry to the forbidden sector around Zine, the space now known as the Quiet Zone. It's right next to the Twilight Zone. Rumors say that several of the emissaries have gathered on the old Foundation station FS7, protected by the blinding quiet and by unknown weapon systems. A few foolish skippers have dared to enter the Quiet Zone, never to be seen or heard from again. All right, we're just peeking on through here. And of course, this is an adventure. If you are a player hoping that your game master is going to be running Mercy of the Icons, or maybe they are in the midst of running Mercy of the Icons, might want to tune out. Even though I know nothing about this finale, you might end up seeing some spoilers pop up. In the first scenario, the third and final part of the Mercy of the Icons campaign, the PCs return to Ground Zero, the Kuan jungles, and the remains of the Coriolis station. In dreams and visions, she calls out to them, the young woman with the burning heart and the star-covered dress. The machine icon is calling, and their meeting with her holds answers for the future about the prophecy, the chosen, and the Horizon Wars. That's another aspect of Coriolis. It's pretty interesting, is that there are peoples who tend to be pretty faith-driven in this setting. And I thought that is kind of cool. And that we have like the prophecies and things like that. Once again, I know it kind of sounding a little bit like Dune there, but it is not a prophecy of who's going to lead their people, though. All right, so we have... I thought we were on to the second act. Also should point out that Coriolis is a scene-driven role-playing game. So it is not very sandboxy by any stretch, at least the adventures that I have taken a peek at. But once again, very unique style to the design. So we've got the 10th icon. Let's see what we've got cooking here. In part 2 of this book, the fleets of the Third Horizon are in peril as more and more mystics leave their posts and steal warships to join the devout in the Quiet Zone around Zine. Remember, I was talking about a lot of these factions are faith-driven. The abandoned Nadir flotilla naturally becomes a new center of attention. Blessed by the icons, the factions approach the Sedalian high clergy, the Amisha Penta, and the system's mythical leader, Eramerat, to negotiate, unaware of the traitors waiting in the shadows. All right, there you go. There's a spoiler. There are traitors present. So as you notice, I'm jumping quite a few pages. Oh, that's very nice. So I swapped out my lens on our overhead GS5 Mark II. So I'm hoping that this is pretty clear tonight. One thing I should mention, because I usually take a peek real quick just to see how the videos end up processing on YouTube, and it's weird. Some videos are like, wow, yeah, that's pretty sharp. And then others, it's like, wow. And a lot of it has to do with YouTube. So I'm always experimenting to find out exactly how I can get the best image quality, because streaming to YouTube is far different than uploading a video to YouTube. Streaming has far more chances of it being pixelated and things like that. So it looks as if the 10th icon is sort of like the fleets that are assembling on these two sides, or maybe more than two sides, who are getting ready to go to war. So as you can see, the player characters will travel around to various different sectors, and it looks as if we have some short scenarios in many of them. And then, of course, we just saw an NPC block. The Crying Ziggurat. Dark tunnels and caved-in bunkers lead you toward the surface. The sounds of the city waking up above you tell you time is running out. Dawn is fast approaching, and the Cherry Plaza will soon be full of devout citizens waiting for the traitors to face their doom. The crowds praise the glory of Araminat. I'm sorry, it's Aramirat? Aramirat? I don't know. I hope to see the living icon on his balcony in the Eternity Spire. The light from the tabula leads the way. You follow the bunker map and find the stairs near the plaza and the gate that should take you inside the Crying Ziggurat, to the chambers of the Amisha Spenta and the imprisoned leaders of the Third Horizon. So, of course, as player characters, you're trying to save them, no doubt. So something that you can probably tell, this is pretty nice as well, is that this campaign is really epic. And you could kind of get the feeling from the first adventures. Now, I will point out, it has taken quite a while for these 3 chapters to be released. So it's, I mean, kind of like Symborum, where they've got their Throne of Thorns campaign, which you had to wait forever for the finale that I think just came out. And I don't even know if that's out in print. So now the whole campaign is complete. So if you have kind of held off on checking out Coriolis, knowing that there was a third part to the Mercy of the Icons, then have no fear, it is complete. Okay, well, I should say as of May 31st it will be. So here's our finale here. This is the 3rd chapter, or 3rd act, I should say, of this volume, I guess I will consider it. So this is the Horizon Wars. It says, in the final part of the Mercy of the Icons campaign, war breaks out, and the PCs must lead the people of the Third Horizon to victory. See, I told you, I thought the player characters actually end up leading the Third Horizon. They must disrupt the Symmetry's control and repel the fleets of the First Horizon. Ooh, there you go. Now we know it's some baddies from the past. Form alliances and use the mysteries of the void as weapons in the war of all wars. Will they survive the test or add their names to the martyr songs of coming generations? So a little tip for the game masters. It says, for the ending of the Mercy of the Icons campaign, you need to prepare well and read up on the different stages of the Horizon Wars. Make sure you know the beginnings and the outcomes of the scenarios and in which order they can be played. All NPC descriptions can be found. Okay. So your PC incentives, regardless of the backgrounds of the PCs, they have become key assets for the factions and leaders of the Third Horizon, acting as advisors and agents capable of handling special operations, sometimes behind enemy lines. So there is a meta plot, talking about the meta game there. Total War. And then we have a variety of different missions. And we have the locations of the fleets. So we got the First Horizon and Third Horizon. So examples of the meta game. Then we have mini missions. So I think these are the mini missions here. This looks pretty in-depth. As I mentioned, from the first two releases, you kind of got the impression that this was going to be a pretty epic campaign. And it looks like a pretty big finale here. Yeah, there's a lot of info about the metagame. And then here we have the longer scenarios. The Ghosts of Zine. Here's our Foundation Station 7, FS7. Oh, that's pretty cool. You'll notice all the interior artwork is one artist, Gustav Ekelund. Ekelund, I think is how it's pronounced. Which the reality is, maybe that was something that kind of made this release take a bit longer to come out. But this third act is pretty long. We got a lot of different events. We've got a lot of different scenarios. Here's the ending. So, discussing various different outcomes. Then we got an epilogue with an aftermath. I'm kind of curious what we're going to see for Coriolis going forward. I don't know if this is going to kind of wrap up the releases for it. I have to be very honest. I do not know how well Coriolis has done for Free League Publishing. So it originally came out, I think the core book was out 2016, 2017, because it was at the Ennies, because it's even back here. It was Judge's Spotlight 2017, but it could have come out in late 2016, which would have still had this eligible for the next year's Ennies. So that is Wake of the Icons for Coriolis from Free League Publishing. I will have a review of the finale. So if you are curious about the first two parts of Mercy of the Icons, check out my reviews. I stay pretty spoiler-free throughout. And if you're curious about Coriolis, the role-playing game core book, I've got a review of that as well. So Flaming Heron had pointed out that the video was super clear. Sweet. Fingers crossed, as always. Once again, this 204-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $39.99. It's actually a little less over on the Free League Publishing website. I think it's like $37.80, something like that. And you can also grab the PDF for $19.99. That's a guess. I'm pretty sure that's what it'll be when they both arrive next week. That's right. May 31st is the release date for Wake of the Icons and its PDF. I'm kind of surprised the PDF isn't out yet, but it is not. I double checked. All right, let's swing back on over to the other camera. That's going to do it for tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to have a War Game Wednesday. That's right. I'm going to unbox and take a first look at Clash of Sovereigns. It is Sovereigns, right? Yes. I grabbed it. I'm like, yeah, it's Clash of Sovereigns. Oh, wait, no, that's not the name of it. Yeah, that is the name of it. From GMT Games. This looks card-driven. Looks like it's point-to-point movement. It's basically modeling the War of Austrian Succession from the 18th century. So that looks very interesting. I always love war games that tackle topics and conflicts and battles that really don't get a whole lot of attention. So, do we need another Battle of the Bulge game? No. War of Austrian Succession? Yes. So that's on tomorrow's show. And then on Thursday, we're going to dive on into the Mirror of Malatesta. So we are going to check this out. And I did reach out to Exalted Funeral. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we are going to take a look at this on Thursday's show. Looks kind of cool. Just About 92 says, we need all the Bulge games. No, you don't. Although I have to say, I'm trying to remember the author. I think it's John Toland, if I remember correctly. If you're a history fan, that name will ring a bell. I think he's best known for his book he wrote about Pearl Harbor. But I listened to his Battle of Bulge book, and I was like, wow. There were things about the Bulge that I did not know. And I was like, holy shit. It's like, man, I know that the soldiers had it rough, really rough. But I had never realized how bad an ass kicking the U.S. forces were getting early on. I know they, of course, ended up, falling back on the Bastogne. But yeah, some of the and then there was in the book there's a story of, I think he was a lieutenant who turns a corner and ends up face to face with a Tiger tank. That the main gun fires at him. It's like, what? Who the hell would fire the main gun? And missed. So I was like, whoa. So very interesting book, very interesting read. So if you are curious about that, check it out. Madman points out that his wife lost 2 uncles in the Battle of the Bulge. Yeah, I was going to say Band of Brothers. Aren't there like 3 episodes that take place at the Battle of the Bulge? It's like, man, wow. Just About 92 says the 88s are no joke. Nope. And they were utilized for a lot of different things. In fact, if I remember correctly, weren't 88s also used as anti-aircraft? I could have swore I seem to recall that. Anywho, so that is it for tonight's show. As I already pointed out, what's on the horizon for the rest of this week. I'm thinking June might be a review month. All depends. All depends on what we see pop up. I do believe we've got some Dune releases heading my way from Modifius Entertainment. So we might be having a Dune week. So keep that in mind. All depends. All depends on what shows up. So we'll see. We got plenty of things we can mess around with, keep ourselves occupied. There was something else I was going to mention, and it's just slipped my mind. I don't know. Of course, I'm going to wrap up the show, and I'll be like, oh, yeah. Duh. Alrighty, then. So if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Call of Cthulhu Nameless Horrors from Chaosium Inc. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. Always appreciate that. If you were watching live and took part in chat, a bigger tip of the cap for you, because not only do you keep me occupied in company, you're also keeping each other occupied and keeping each other company, especially when I'm mispronouncing those fictional people and places. But of course, I know not everybody has an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out to watch the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. And of course, when you're not watching videos, be sure to swing on over to the gaminggang.com for the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I will be back tomorrow for a War Game Wednesday. And of course, here's hoping you all get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.